What is up, Bronco Nation? Happy Friday. Glad you guys could join us tonight. Pull up a chair, get your favorite beverage. We're going to talk about Boise State Broncos. So we are a group of Boise State fans bringing you great content for Boise State fans. Joining me tonight are Sam Talk Sports, Sam Gillette is in the house, and Chris Van Sickle with Blue Turf Talk.
Not to be confused with Scott Van Pelt.
Yep, but he is our resident Scott Van Pelt, better known as CBS. So
I got the hairline for Scott Van Pelt, so that checks out.
Anyway, we are here tonight. We're going to break it down as we always do on Bronco Nation Live. We're going to go through some recruiting news, some basketball, men's basketball stuff going on with the Boise State Broncos, as well as top 25 and the rest of the field that are hopeful to get into the NCAA tournament. And then as we shift out of that, then we'll go into my wheelhouse, and I will share some of our Bronco Nation updates on the women's sports with Boise State. So with that in line, we're going to hand it on over to Blue Turf Talks, Chris Van Sickle, for some recruiting news.
Yeah, guys, let's talk about it. Here I last week said not going to hear any news for a minute. Then they all had to prove me wrong, pull out 2 commits in the same day yesterday or the day before or whatever. 2 guys. One of them I thought was still a possibility. The other one I kind of had written off. I had heard that was a possibility a while ago, and it didn't work out, but he came on back. We'll start with the kicker. Colton Boomer, what an amazing name for a kicker. Let's just get that out of the way. Some of y'all may remember him, not in a good way. He was a kicker for UCF, dashed our hopes or broke our hearts on the blue by kicking the game-winning field goal for the Golden Knights a couple years ago. He is going to be a redshirt junior. Last season, he redshirted. He played 4 games, decided to redshirt to save that eligibility. This is a really talented kicker that maybe it hasn't been as consistent as he would have liked. His freshman season was lights out. 14 of 15 field goal kicking. That's 93%. I mean, that's second team all AAC, I believe. Bright future ahead of him. Sophomore season comes along. Struggled a little bit. 13 for 21, 61% field goal kicking. He was 2 for 4 from over 50. Both of those were against Boise State. Thanks a lot, Colton. Come on, man. No, but this is a young man that a lot of times you enter the transfer portal just for a change of scenery, just to change for something up because it's not working. And this is a guy who has shown the talents to be an elite kicker. He's going to come in. We have our own kicking expert, Tyler Rausa, great guy, knows how to develop kickers really well. I think he can come in, get his head right, because I don't know if you know many kickers, but for them, it's just as much mental. So get him right. I expect, personally, my expectation would be that he'll be the starting field goal kicker, just because the talent is there. He's an outstanding player. So that's the first one. This second one's really exciting. A young man named Jaden Mickey. He entered the transfer portal last season out of Notre Dame. There's the graphic right there. And originally I had heard that there was a chance Boise State was going to get him, and he ended up going to Cal. And all right, cool, I can respect that. Ends up flipping his commitment to Boise State. 6 foot corner. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility as well. He's coming from Notre Dame. I mean, we're talking about a team that was just in the national championship. Granted, he was not playing, but he's around that program, has been built in that program, that winning tradition. He, coming out of high school, as a 4-star prospect, had offers from just about anywhere you could expect. His freshman season, he played, not real consistently, but he did see the field. Sophomore season is where he really broke out, had an interception, returned it for a touchdown against Pittsburgh, saw the field a lot. This is a significant pickup, especially for a late February. Late February, you don't expect to pick up 2 possible starters. So this is a big week for Boise State. I think he could come in and be the McCoy-Mickey matchups on the outside at corner. He's shown the ability. He's got the speed. He's got the talent. I just hope he comes in ready to compete. There's a lot of competition at the corner position. I know a lot of people, that was their biggest gripe from last season, and rightfully so. But I think that he's going to come in and compete right away. So really excited about those two.
Can we clear something up here? Was he on Notre Dame's roster during the championship run, or did he transfer to Cal and then briefly there and then transfer over to Boise State? Is that how it happened? Can you help us understand what went on there?
Yes. So 4 games into Notre Dame's season, he decided to redshirt. Every program's different. I don't know if they allowed him to stay around the team or if that was cut and dry. He redshirted with the intention of entering the transfer portal. So that it wasn't not injury related as far as I know. It was just to save that. That's my daughter. Hi, Ellie. It was just to save that eligibility. Shout out to Ellie, my superstar basketball player. She's going to be playing tomorrow. Check it out. Anyways, save that eligibility, enter the transfer portal. He, as far as I know, never stepped on foot at campus at Cal. I don't know. None of us will ever know the details on that one. But he is here. He's going to be ready to play.
Nice. Awesome. And that's one thing you said. Our cornerback room is stacked right now as far as the amount of players in there. That's how you make your corners better, by having that competition. That's why we have one of the running back rooms in the nation, is because any one of our running backs can start anywhere else.
Iron sharpens iron, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of talent in that cornerback room. I know a lot of people are real nervous about it, but there's plenty of talent there. So,
Well, you know where else
Back
there's
to you,
money
Nick. Where?
on the men's basketball court Wednesday night.
It finally showed too.
Yes, it did. Do you think Carmichael starting was the determining factor in that turnaround?
Determining, I mean, I wouldn't know if I'd go that far, but he certainly did expand the offense with his shooting ability.
He definitely did not disappoint. That's for sure.
No, that young man's going to be a superstar. Absolutely.
And to me, that opened up the middle a lot better than what it has been, where we were able to get them dribbles and put New Mexico in foul trouble early and often. And I think, what do we have? 13 more free throws than they did. So
yes, and you know, them having to respect his 3-point shot as compared to, you know, no disrespect to RJ Keene, he is an amazing player. Teams weren't respecting him as a 3-point shooter at this time. Them having to take that step out, you're right. That's exactly right, Sam. It opened it up in the middle, and Tyson Degenhart, 32 points, guys. Holy cow! Helping out his NBA stock for sure. Him being aggressive with the ball is really what's changed. I think he used to be a kind of almost not necessarily a pass first, but unless it was a wide open shot or a wide open look, he wasn't going to take it. So, now let's talk about it, huh? Sam, what did you think about the game?
I saw a lot more movement without the ball. Very rarely were they just standing around. I'm wondering if they got into the film room and fixed a bunch of fundamental things, moving without the ball kind of stuff. They're crashing the boards. They tied New Mexico with 30 rebounds apiece. Carmichael and Degenhart combined for 53 points. So, I mean,
that's a wild stat. I had not thought about that, but you're right. That's pretty wild right there, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was their entire offense, and they still couldn't stop it. So, and whenever they were trying to stop it, you had people like Cardenas was just driving and getting they were crashing Degenhart and Carmichael and leaving Cardenas open to do his thing. And I think that was a big difference this game as opposed to what we saw against San Diego State.
And Al quietly produced a double-double. He had like all of a sudden, like I looked at the stat line and like, holy cow, he's already got 10 assists,
right.
And so I think you called it though, Sam, in our last in episode 1 of BTT with Chris V. You called that you'd like to see Peanut as a starter. I still think that Jalen Buchanan should be a starter and get some more minutes as a slashing scorer. But I'll take what Peanut did all day long. That was a surprise for me.
I think Buchanan has a very real possibility of becoming that sixth man that works into starting. He could be a six-man player like what's his name? Oh, it's going to come to me at the end of the show, and I'm going to hate myself for not being able to remember it. Dang it. I'll remember it, and I'll get back to you. But
is he in our team?
Ginobili.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. You went back on that.
Yeah.
That one. Ginobili.
Yeah. So, but the craziest stat line to me of that game, New Mexico shot 50.9% from the floor. Boise State shot 48.1% and still pulled out the dub. That's crazy to me.
And pretty handedly.
Yeah. I mean, granted, let's see, it was 38.9 on 3 points to 41.7 in favor of Boise State, so that could have been. But I think the difference is on the foul line. Whenever you have Boise State shooting 32 free throws, making 26 of them, as opposed to New Mexico's 17. I mean, we made more free throws than New Mexico State attempted. So, and I believe that is solely on, not solely. Let me retract that. I believe that is because Degenhart and Carmichael were both able to draw so much attention that it put the defense in a bad position, being forced to foul the other guys that were getting open looks or driving to the rim. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I hope it's not a one and done with Carmichael either. You have a breakout game and then you fall off and do nothing the rest of the year. I hope that's not the case here, because I like the kid. I like what I saw against San Diego State, and I like what I saw against New Mexico.
So coming into this game, guys, there was a whole lot of uncertainty, right? Well, kind of, but we're going through that, that 4-game winning streak, and then they went it down to Viejas Arena and got the roof blown off, and then so we're sitting here going, okay, the inconsistency kind of came up, caught up to him when we were sitting here going, all right. And, myself, I was even saying, I'm not very hopeful at this time, but now we're sitting here after a big win over UNM. And I know before we were talking about this last time, we were talking about, is Coach Rice on the hot seat? And I really like this graphic that you gave us, Sam. You got the fire extinguisher here with the Lobo logo on there. So maybe Rick Pitino kind of put out that fire. So where are you guys at now that we've won a pretty good game, a quad 1 game, and then we're heading into Nevada, and actually that hope is kind of rising again. So where are you guys at now?
So they made the comment on the broadcast that I didn't realize, but they had not beaten prior to Wednesday night. They had not beaten anybody above them in conference, and they changed that one night. And that win may have single-handedly saved Coach Rice's a job, because he finally got the monkey off his back and won that top of the conference game, and in convincing fashion. I mean, yeah, they came back and tried to make a game of it late, but that game was over halfway through the second half. But yeah, I see every game winnable after watching last night. The rest of the way, if they play like they played last night, they can win every game. And I'll be the first to tell, if they win Utah State, I'll pull Rice off the hot seat. I'll be the first one to say, hey, I was wrong. I should have trusted the system. But maybe at the same time, the noise we made and started to make, maybe that forced him to make some changes for fear of his job. So I won't apologize for the criticism I've had in the past, but I will be the first to say, hey, I'll take him off the hot seat. And sorry, but not sorry kind of thing. Sorry for putting him there, but not sorry for putting him there. If that makes any sense, it needed to be done to open the dog. So,
yeah,
I see Reno's always a tough game to go there, being a rivalry, and it's rough, a rough crowd, but they're also not doing too great this year. We can win that one as long as we don't go in there thinking, oh, we just knocked off the number 1 team in the Mountain West and arguably the best team from the Mountain West that's going to go into the tournament and could make a run. As long as they don't go in there with heads held high, and Nevada won't be a trap game. If they play their game, then Nevada should be won. Utah State's going to be a good one. It's going to probably have the same New Mexico energy. It's going to have that same frequency. I think if they beat Utah State and then get their revenge against Colorado State and don't fall to Fresno and Air Force and get to the championship game of the Mountain West, it might be enough to give them an at-large without winning the Mountain West. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
And I say that is because there's teams like Marquette tonight. They just lost. If they go on a losing skid and bow out early in the Big East tournament, they could end up on the bubble by the time it's all said and done. As long as there's not a lot of thievery going on, not bubble. Anyway, as long as there's not a bunch of thievery going on in the bubble watch, then we have that possibility if we went out and make the Mountain West Conference Championship game, especially if we beat a bunch of good teams on our side of the bracket. If we get that draw where we have to go through San Diego State, New Mexico, Utah State kind of deal, and make that run to get there, then I think it'll help us.
Yeah, I think if we get one more quad one win in the tournament, that should pretty much do it. I assuming they went out, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, and the whole Leon Rice hot seat. The heat's down, but I'm just hoping this time tomorrow night that heat's not right back up. So I'm excited and I'm optimistic, but let's keep it up. And you talked about Peanut Carmichael. Hopefully, just not kind of fading back in. I don't think he will. You watch just his mannerisms on the court, the way he acts after he makes the big shot. He's got confidence. This kid's confidence is only going to build. He's going to be a killer. This kid is going to make huge shots at big moments. So I'm excited to watch it. Beat Nevada, take care of business against Air Force and Fresno, and the other two, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's really going to hurt us is dropping to San Diego State. I mean, right now they're holding onto that third spot. But yeah, we're going to need to go if we want that, an automatic bid, a chance at it, right? We got to win 6. And with those 6, you're going to pick up those quad 1 wins. Otherwise, I'm still at the opinion that if we're not doing that, then we better win their tournament to get a spot in the tournament, or in the Mountain West tournament to get a spot in the big dance. So,
I mean, we proved last night. We proved last night probably what the media and everyone that put us at number 1 to win the Mountain West saw at the start of the season. We finally got to that point last night. Now let's just not lose it.
Right. So, what do you got going on this weekend, Chris? You got anything you want to throw out there? What can your audience be looking forward to this weekend and maybe next?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So tomorrow, the first one is my interview with Jackson Presley. Jackson Presley is a 4-star quarterback commit to Boise State for the next year's class. I really enjoyed this. There's this commitment graphic. There are a lot of people that just because he's a year away assume that he is going to end up decommitting and going elsewhere. And I get it. Okay. As Boise State fans, we have had our hearts broken by many a quarterback. Okay. But I want you to listen to this interview, and it's just different. This one's it just feels different. The connection he has with Spencer Danielson and this coaching staff just feels stronger. It feels more than just, you're gonna, I have a shot to start. This is a family. This is a friendship. So please, I hope you check it out. It is going to be for subscribers only. And the thing I've been pushing on social media and everywhere else, and I hope you guys will subscribe. But we are the only media source that when you subscribe to us and you pay that monthly fee, it goes to help these student athletes. It's not just coming to our pockets or somewhere else. It's going to go to Boise State and help these student athletes. So you're getting content, but you're also helping Boise State. And then another one, the next thing that I had, and this kind of just popped up in the last couple of days, and I wrote a quick article. Jabri Bickham, the 4-star athlete as he's listed, he's going to be a safety, I think. This young man is a very nose to the grindstone kind of kid. Didn't think he had the time to do a video interview. I totally respect that. He wants to stay focused. I said, hey, can I send you some, just like a questionnaire kind of thing, just so I can write something up? He said, absolutely. Took a couple of days to fill it out because he's a busy dude. Sent it back, and I wrote up the article. So, Jabri is I can't, if maybe you guys can prove me wrong, viewers, but he hasn't talked to any other media source that I have found anywhere. So this is some pretty great content. he talks about his recruitment, talks about what other offers he has, what Boise State kind of has plans for him to play. Hint, hint, safety, I think. But also, like, what he thinks he needs to do to play as a true freshman. This is a great kid. He's got his head on straight. He's focused. So check out. That's going to be just an article. So you'll read that, and I hope you enjoy it. And then you guys don't know this one yet, but I do have interviews set up with Greg Ard, and then I'm going to blank on his last name, Bethel Imison, the young man from the UK, the defensive tackle. We are working on a time to interview him as well. So that's a couple more coming down the chute too. So, I just pray that you enjoy the content and subscribe. And so, yeah, that's what's going on, guys. It's super exciting. I feel very grateful that these young men take their time to talk to little old me, and that you guys enjoy watching, hopefully. So that's what's going on, Nick.
And I've had the pleasure to watch the Jackson Presley interview and get that ready to drop tomorrow morning. And I'll tell you, that is an excellent interview. You did a great job, my friend. Also, Bronco Nation, if you want to subscribe, which I highly recommend, go to bronconationupdates.com and go to /blueprint. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see Blue Turf Talk with Chris. And if you click on that subscribe button, you'll be able to subscribe. And then after that, go to his main page, which is bronconationupdates.com/BTT, and then set up an account, and we will grant you the access to get to that premium content. And like Chris said, we're the only outlet here in Bronco Nation, probably in the whole country, that are doing this revenue sharing, where your subscription helps Boise State, and it goes directly to their revenue sharing funds that helps pay the college athletes. So really appreciate you doing that for us. And sounds like you got a great night to go. I'm thankful that you stopped by and spent about a half hour with us, and appreciate everything you're doing for Bronco Nation.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Y'all have fun. Sam, I'll have to watch your Sam Talk Sports here a little bit later. All right, bud?
Sounds good. Have a good one, Chris.
All right, buddies. Y'all have fun.
Yep.
Looking for a healthy change? Just breathe and let the Organized Experience help you embrace change. The Organized Experience team masters the art of helping people find freedom through decluttering, organizing, and creating organizing systems. So if you're looking for a healthy change in 2025, give the Organized Experience team the opportunity to help you. Please visit their website at theorganizedexperience.com.
All right. Welcome back, Bronco Nation. We are going to start getting into Sam Talk Sports bracketology, and he has supplied a plethora of scenarios and seeds, and how that goes will be so bear with us. There's a lot of graphics that we're going to share, and hopefully I can keep up with Sam. So just have a little bit of patience with me, and grace and mercy. So I'm going to do my best to follow along with Sam as he breaks down the field of 65 teams that are trying to get into the postseason in March Madness. And he's done a lot of work.
I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think there's something like 115 teams that have a shot right now, a legitimate shot at making the dance through being in shot of getting that automatic qualifier spot or an at-large. So there's quite a few meaningful games of basketball left this late in the season. So, like right now I'm watching Michigan State and Michigan play. Michigan State's got a 54-49 with 10:55 to play. So it's a very competitive year in college basketball. It's almost ridiculous how good this year has been.
Yeah, and
and
just
surprising too.
and just running through your graphics, like I had already, and it was early, of course, right?
Yeah.
I'd already written off Michigan, right? But here they are.
All right. So let's talk top 25, huh? So this week's top 25, I actually had a jump with Duke and Auburn. Auburn's been number one basically all year long. Whenever I ran my numbers this week, they ended up tying. So I gave Duke the overall number one seed because of the head-to-head matchup. Duke beat Auburn. So that'll be the first or the last time, hopefully, I get that tie. I actually adjusted my formula around, so you'll see a really different top 25 next week as far as some teams are going to move around a little bit more because I adjusted the formula to not have ties as often. I went through and looked at it, and I had a bunch of ties this last week, more so just outside of the top 25 than in the top 25. But Duke, Auburn, Houston, and Alabama, they're my top four seeds this year, or this week, I should say. And there it is. I have obviously I had Duke at Duke at number one. The AP and the coaches poll had him at 3. Auburn at 2, and the AP and coaches had him at 1. Houston was 5 in the AP and coaches, and Florida was number 2, where I have them at number 5, and that's kind of a head scratcher for me. Why would Florida get that kind of recognition? Granted, Alabama did lose to Auburn, but why would that jump Florida up that high?
And that was that initial jump, right, after that game?
Yeah. And so I got to looking at it, and my computer's being dumb. Let's see. There we go. I got to looking at their overalls, and they're 5-3 against quad ones, with their losses coming to Kentucky, Missouri, and Tennessee. They do have a win over Auburn, and at the time Tennessee was number 1, they had a win over Tennessee. They're 8-0 against quad twos, most of those being SEC teams, and then they're perfect against quad 3 and 4. So it's all right. Well, what does Auburn's look like? Auburn's 14-2 against quad 1. Their only 2 losses being Duke and Florida. So that got me to thinking, okay, so Auburn deserves to be number 1. That's one of the reasons why I adjusted my formula whenever I went to look at the net rankings. So I went to look at Duke. Duke has an almost identical to Florida. I say almost. They're 5-3 against quad 1, with their losses coming to Kentucky, Kansas, and Clemson. We do have Duke beating Auburn as well. Has Florida beaten Auburn? So it's just kind of head scratcher why they would put Duke up, or excuse me, Florida up over Duke. I couldn't figure that one out for the life of me. So it caught me off guard. I don't think Florida's a bad team. Are they a number 2 team? No, I think they're riding the SEC hype, which the SEC is good this year, but I think they're riding that hype, and that's probably what's carrying them.
They're showing that SEC will have 13 teams in. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I've got the SEC and the Big Ten both getting 10 teams in. I'm a little more critical of the bottom half of the SEC than what most of the commentators and sports talk shows are. Just because I have a hard time putting a team multiple games below 500 in conference play over somebody else who's at 500 or better in conference play, who's also on the bubble. So that's my preference.
So you're kind of like the way the college football playoff committee is. They value wins.
Yeah. value wins and no bad losses. Which there's anybody in the top 25. There's rarely a bad loss in them. But you can see where my lower tier, the top 25, like I've got VCU in there. New Mexico's in there at number 20, and Boise State just knocked them off. And it's important to note, too, most of my graphics tonight are through Tuesday night's games because I don't have a team of researchers to go through and do things. I got to make all my graphics. It takes me a couple of days on top of work. So my graphics.
Because since then, Alabama got boat raced against Missouri, right?
Yeah. Alabama lost. Let's see. There was another notable loss, and it's slipping my mind right now.
Is it Michigan State?
It could be. But they're holding their own against Michigan right now. And Michigan, the knock on Michigan State has been they ran through the bottom tier of the Big Ten and stayed undefeated. And since they've been playing the top half, it's shown they've lost 3 games in their conference in the top half of the conference. But they got an 8-point lead with 9 to play against Michigan right now. So, and Michigan's considered a lock they're both considered a lock for a tournament. But I think Michigan State's a little bit underrated. Even on my top 25, I think they're underrated. They're 14 in the AP and 14 in mine, but they could easily be top 10.
Yeah, I've had respect for him all year, but that's because I really respect the coach. And I've told you before, I go more of by recency bias than anything else.
Right. Yeah. So number 1 overall seed in my tournament is Duke. I've got them in the South region going to Raleigh. But that's based on my top 25. Obviously, next week you're going to see Auburn unless they have a horrible week. You'll see Auburn back at number 1 if my formula holds true. But for this week, for the sake of conversation, I got Duke. Yale, they're sitting at the 12 seed. They had a scare today, but they're one of I think there's 2 teams in the nation right now that haven't lost a conference game yet, and Yale's one of them. I think Akron's the other one. Gonzaga, I'm kind of surprised I went ahead and left them at number 5. I think they could be as far down as a 9 seed, but they got talent. They've been there. They know how to play, and I think later in the season their experience is going to show, and that's going to help them finish strong. UCLA, they're one of my bubble teams. If they keep winning like they have, even if they're just squeakers, then they're going to do good. Arizona's 4 seed. They're another stacked conference is the Big 12. That's going to be an interesting run. The number 2 seed in the South region is thank you, Tennessee. My every time I switch over to try and get something out, my everything just freezes. It's ridiculous. So there we go. Tennessee's the number 2 seed in that same side in the South bracket. They're going to be going to Wichita, Kansas for their pod games. They got South Alabama, who's really come on strong in the Sun Belt. That Sun Belt race is it's a good race if you're interested in your mid majors. Go watch some Sun Belt basketball. They're duking it out and trying to win their regular season conference. That could be a good matchup for Tennessee, as they have a shot to knock off a number 2. Is it likely? No, but there's a shot. BYU steamrolling people they just took what was it, Kansas to the woodshed. Might have been Kansas State, one of the Kansas teams. They just rocked them.
No, it was the Jayhawks. They got their Jayhawk rocked.
Yeah, and this is something that I actually didn't realize that I did, but I think it was because I didn't have anywhere else to put them. Kansas and BYU is a first round rematch. That's not going to happen on any board. I actually just noticed that right now. That's what happens whenever you try and put graphics together at 1 o'clock in the morning. But that Kansas won't be in the in this region. They'll most likely switch with another number 7 seed in another region. St. John's is a 3 seed. That one, if they win the Big East, that they could end up being a 2 seed if the right people lose. Wake Forest is on my bubble as well at an 11 seed. They could be the 4th team for the ACC. If they fall off at the end of the year, the ACC is likely only going to get 3. And then Missouri rounds out that bracket with the SEC getting another member in. What do you think of the South bracket, Nick? Who do you think the winners and losers are in that South bracket?
In this one, I have no confidence in Kansas after seeing them get their asses kicked. BYU, I think, is up and coming. I think St. John's. You can't go against Rick Pitino. So, yeah, I think you can't count St. John's out. Like I said, I'm a recency bias kind of guy. So Pitino's resume speaks for itself. So I'd probably, out of this one, if I was filling out my brackets and taking them up levels, I would probably be bringing up St. John's quite a bit, and then probably Tennessee, since the SEC's doing very well this year. So I'd probably go heavy SEC in my brackets.
Yeah. You like Duke as a number 1 overall seed, or do you think Auburn?
I still like Auburn, but I do like Duke at a 2.
Yeah. Speaking of Auburn, that's where we're heading next. Auburn's going to also be in the Raleigh region of the in the Midwest bracket. They're going to Raleigh in their pod. They'll open up against Bryant. They're an American East Conference. They just suffered their first conference loss a few weeks ago. I was kind of rooting for them to stay undefeated. Haven't watched one of their games, but in stats, I've been rooting for them. Baylor is a bubble team. They're Baylor and nope, just Baylor. I thought there was another Big 12 on the bubble in this bracket. There isn't. Baylor has a chance to improve their stock at the end of the year. They're right there on the verge of me putting them in as a lock. They're not there yet. They could still. They're a little bit too inconsistent for me to be able to put them as a lock. Creighton, they're up and down as well in the Big East, and I attribute that to the Big East competition. In the top half of the of that conference, the bottom half is pretty weak in comparison to the top. Anyway, Texas Tech, they have a chance to improve as well. I could see them as high as a 3 seed, but I've got them in a 4 seed here. UC San Diego's getting the Big West at large or automatic qualifier, and I haven't seen any brackets out there that have 2 Big West teams in it, but you're going to see I have UC Irvine in there as well. They're the 2 teams are basically identical. I have a hard time picking between the 2, so I just threw them both in, and we'll see where they land later on. The number 2 seed in the Midwest is Michigan, who is currently losing by 7 to Michigan State with 7 to play. So Michigan is the number 2 seed in the Midwest. They're going to have Louisville on the other side of the bracket that they'll most likely end up in contention with Louisville or Texas A&M. I see either one of those making it down to the Sweet 16 where they would face Michigan. But you can't look past Ole Miss. SMU's kind of on the fence for me. They're another one of my bubble teams. They can lose it at any minute. Michigan should make quick work of Cleveland State. Really, the Horizon League's not that great, but they do put up good competition amongst themselves. San Diego State, the first Mountain West team that we're going to see of the three that I have in here. I have them as an 11 seed, and they are actually in my last four buys, I believe. And we'll get onto that a little bit later. Moving on.
I'm posting a question for everyone who's watching. Do you think that Boise State will make the fourth consecutive NCAA tournament?
It depends. I know we talked about it a little bit with Nick or with Chris, I mean, and if they played arguably their hardest remaining game on the schedule. They do still have Utah State. If they can beat Utah State and not fall victim to the Nevada trap or Fresno or Air Force trap game. Air Force hasn't won a game in the Mountain West yet, and we do not need that one win that they get to be against Boise State, no matter what. That you lose to the only school that hasn't won one yet, and you might as well kiss your tournament chances goodbye unless you win the Mountain West tournament.
Yep.
So there's that, and then of course the rematch against Colorado State for the last game of the regular season. They can make it, yes. Will they make it? It depends on if the team that we saw Wednesday night continues through the rest of the year. Otherwise, if they're still up and down and inconsistent, then they're going to have to win the Mountain West tournament to make the dance. Did that answer your question?
No, I posed the question to the chat. See what other people think. So
I misunderstood.
So let us know if you think Boise State's going to make it. Again, it's they got their work cut out for them. So are you confident? And we'll get there later on to see what we think is their chances. So which bracket are we on now?
We're going to the East. Houston is my number 3 overall, and they are heading out east to Lexington, and they'll be in the Lexington, Kentucky pod. That would be Wisconsin.
Wondering if
I think that's the.
Here's Alabama. I think I missed that graphic, my friend.
Okay. We'll run through it quick. The East number 1 is going to be Houston. Utah State's also on this side of the bracket as a number 8 seed. If they're a couple losses away from being a play-in game if they're not careful. They've kind of been slipping up a little bit here lately. Drake is over here. At one point, I had both Drake and Bradley from the MVC in the tournament. Now the MVC just has Drake or whoever wins their tournament. Bradley's kind of fallen off a little bit. Kentucky's here with the SEC representation in this bracket. You got Illinois is going to be playing Utah State, and Purdue would be the other Big Ten in this side of the bracket as well. But yeah, it is somewhat of a favorable bracket for Utah State. Their only big competition will be around a 32 matchup against Houston, and if they make it past that, Sweet 16 against Kentucky or Purdue. All winnable if they play like they played the first of the year. But I think Utah State probably has the cleanest path to the Sweet 16 out of all the Mountain West teams. So that's just my humble opinion. So the number 2 seed in the East is Tennessee. I've got them playing in Wichita. Their biggest competition is going to be most likely BYU.
Didn't we cover this one?
I did think I might have, yeah. I might have did the wrong graphic.
No, because we covered this.
Yeah, we did.
St. John's in Kansas, and
you know what it was? We did that for the South. So what we have for the East, think of that as for the let's reset.
Okay.
We're gonna go South number 2 seed. We're gonna keep the East over there, and we've already covered the East number 2, so we're gonna go South number 2 is Alabama. I that's what happens whenever I'm trying to look at icons the size of my thumbnail. So Alabama's the number 2 seed in the South. They're going to be in the Atlanta region, and they'll be playing in the Cleveland, Ohio pod. Notable matchup for them is probably going to be Ohio State if they get past Marquette, who hasn't been playing great basketball lately. They've been playing good, but not great. The flip side of that, you can argue Ohio State hasn't played great basketball lately either. Michigan State's a number 3 seed in the Big Ten, and they're beating Michigan right now. So they're probably ended up coming down to Michigan State and Alabama to see who goes on to the Elite Eight in that bracket. Memphis up at the 6th seed from the American Athletic Conference. At one point, I did have North Texas in the bracket as well, but they've fallen off a little bit here over the last week and a half or so. But they are still a bubble team. So let's bring us out to the West for the final number 1 seed being Florida. Their notable matchup will be UConn if they get their act together. I think UConn can beat Oregon. And then down at the 4-13 game, St. Mary's over McNeese. That'll be a fun game. I've been doing a lot of work down in South Louisiana, so they're big on McNeese. I was actually about 20 minutes away from where their home court is. Didn't get to make a game because I didn't realize they were playing until it was too late. And then the one time that I'm like, all right, I am going to make a game, it wasn't a home game. So I'm like, well, that sucks. But McNeese they have the ability to catch fire at the right time. And if they do, then St. Mary's is going to have a game on their hand. Clemson and Akron. Clemson will, if Boise State wants to have any shot at an at-large the rest of the year, they need to be rooting for Clemson to make some more noise. So that rounds up the West number 1. The West number 2 out in San Francisco is going to be Wisconsin as the number 2 seed. And they're going to be playing over in Wichita, Kansas before they head out to San Francisco. And New Mexico being our 3rd and final Mountain West team in this bracket. A Wisconsin-New Mexico game will probably be a pretty good game. And then you see UC Irving, the 2nd Big West team. I don't think there's anybody else out there that has 2 Big West teams. And I think as the season goes on, it might pare down to just one. We'll just have to wait and see how that happens. Playing game between Texas and Nebraska, that's going to be an iconic matchup. I don't think the two have played each other since Nebraska split from the Big 12. I could be wrong on that. At least any meaningful game outside of a regular season. And then Iowa State, I actually think Iowa State's going to most likely be the favorite to win if this is how it all plays out. obviously these are all speculations, seedings. It's what I think will happen, and it's a process that goes on all year long, refining and fine tuning and everything. But whenever the selection Sunday comes around and an official bracket is set, we'll be able to go through and talk about each game and see who's going to do what, when, and where. But as of right now, your the NCAA's top 16. That's what it's going to look like for now, anyway. That's the NCAA's top 16 versus my top 16. Obviously, they have Auburn, Alabama, Duke, Florida in theirs as their top 4, and I have Duke, Auburn, Houston, and Florida as my top 4. So you can see there on the left side of the graphic is the NCAA rank. On the right side is my rank. And then down there in the bottom in the blue, you can see the 2 teams that I have ranked that the NCAA has left off the list. And I'll update this weekly. Every time the new NCAA one comes out, I will run out myself and go from there. What do you think is the most shocking difference between my bracket, my ranking, and the NCAA's?
Houston jumps out at me. You have them 3,
Yeah.
they have them 8. I value them just like you do. I think they're in the top 4 for me. So, yeah, what stood out to me in the last week or so, before we put the beat down on New Mexico, is that they did give the Lobos the shaft in the top 25.
Yeah.
I thought that they deserved to be at least 25. They gave them the shaft, and then also what they did to was it Auburn when they lost to Alabama, and then now that Auburn has redeemed themselves, I still feel like they're number 1 to me, and then number 2 is Duke.
The Plaza Inn owners, Jason and Selena Jungling, are huge supporters of Boise State. If you've ever watched a game, chances are you've seen them as the superfans, the Flintstones. So let's show them as much support as they've supported Boise State by making the short drive over to Ontario. Enjoy dine-in and carry-out by giving them a call at 541-889-3550 for homemade breads, pastries, and soups, or check them out on the web at plazainrestaurant.com.
Having some glitches here, so really appreciate everybody that's on the Serving Bronco Nation directory. We're getting more companies to jump on and help out Boise State. So really appreciate everyone who's on there. So if you are in the need of hiring anybody, really highly suggest that you go to servingbronconation.com/directory and going through that and pick one of those companies that are on there and support the companies that are supporting Boise State.
So let's talk some bubble, shall we?
Sure.
The last 4 buys on my bubble watch. That's the wrong graphic. We can go next 4 out if you want.
Well, they all look the same, so let me just go through this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last 4 buys we have is Ohio State, SMU, San Diego State, and Wake Forest. The last 4 buys and the last 4 in, I think, can all be interchangeable. They're just that closely ranked together. But these ones here, I think Ohio State, I made mention they have a chance to improve their stock, but they've been a little too inconsistent here lately. San Diego State, if they keep winning and get into the Mountain West Conference Championship game, they can get outside of that last 4 bye and get a better seeding themselves. Wake Forest is they're interesting to me. I've had trouble putting them here, but I went back and I looked at some of their stats and stuff, and they got a team if they play right. So I went ahead and threw them in for the last 4 byes. They can be there, especially if they make some noise in the ACC conference tournament. Let's look at the last 4 in. These will be your play-in games. Vanderbilt will play West Virginia in my scenarios, and Texas would play Nebraska. These are your 11 seed play-in games. I like Texas to be the most dominant in this group. Texas or West Virginia, really. Those two, they're closely similar in talent. Vanderbilt being the SEC, they may be able to win a dogfight, but I think Texas and West Virginia is probably going to be the two teams that take away victories out of that group.
This right here, for me, looking at this list, shows me like the result in having such a dominant SEC. It's because you have like Texas, West Virginia, and Nebraska. I mean, Texas and West Virginia and Vanderbilt, right? But they're in the SEC, probably at the lower. But like that. I think this is a result of having such a good SEC and gobbling up a lot of those spots.
Yep. Our first 4 out, and you're going to see some big names on this one too. That kind of gives you another barometer of how good college basketball is this year. VCU, they very well any other year would have been.
Hold on, we're going to get to your question. Do we think BSU finished strong? That's just a little bit down our agenda, but we'll get to that. Okay.
Looks like Michigan State just beat Michigan, so they got their signature Big Ten win so far.
Do you think that's a quad 1?
Yeah, it'll be a quad 1. Michigan's 12, Michigan State's 14.
Okay. Yep.
So and it's a road win for Michigan at that, or Michigan State.
Well,
so
elite teams win road conference games.
Yep. They just won back-to-back AP top 25 games. So that's good. Anyway, back to VCU. There any other year, and they would be in that large, in my opinion. Arkansas and Georgia, they're the product of the SEC being as dominant as it is this year in basketball. With their records, they wouldn't even be in the bubble watch discussion if it was any other year. And North Carolina being the first 4 out, being a perennial tournament team, that just tells you where the shift in power is happening. Some of the blue blood basketball schools, they're having a little bit harder time at it. So we go ahead on over the first 4 out. It should be noted too. They're oftentimes the number 1 seed in the NIT, so they'll have some good NIT teams this year. And then the next 4 out, here's North Texas. I made mention that they have been in my tinkerings. They'd been in as a at-large, but they're kind of falling off here. San Francisco out of the West Coast Conference. If they play their cards right and make a good run in the West Coast Conference tournament, we could see 3 West Coast Conference teams in, with San Francisco being that third, with Gonzaga and St. Mary's. And then Oklahoma, again, a product of the SEC. They don't have a great conference record, but they do have enough to be considered a bubble team, especially if they can put together a run. And Indiana, another blue blood of basketball, sitting here on the bubble in the next 4 out. Just another indication. And I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just another indication that college basketball is that much more competitive this year than any other year. Indiana may be in it, but it's not the case this year.
And we did have a question from Paul in the TikTok chat. He asked about, do we think BSU finishes strong? And then also he did have another. He had a comment here. He's excited to see Gonzaga and BSU in the Pac-12. So
that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're getting some of these basketball recruits too. And they may do well in helping us keep guys like Carmichael, who are going to end up getting notice here at the end of the year. And if he stays next year, they'll get notice there, and other conference are going to come in and try and pick him up. But it may be. I had the and I made a post on somewhere on Facebook. I don't remember now, but the Pac-12 is going to be an elite basketball conference. Now, whether the eliteness of their basketball is, you're going to have St. Mary's, Gonzaga, San Francisco. I think San Francisco, they might be one of the teams they're targeting. Boise State, San Diego State, Utah State. I mean, those 6 right there alone, perennial tournament teams. You're going to get so many basketball recruits coming out to the West Coast. Then you've got Washington State and Oregon State, who are in the West Coast Conference now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really good basketball conference.
Mm-hmm. If New Mexico would have got their act together with the football program, just think of like having them a part of it, but they don't have a good product on the field.
And you got to wonder if the quality of the basketball conference that it'll be, if it'll help carry over to resume P5 status on the football side as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping that will help. But I think what's ultimately going to help is got to find a way to get Memphis or Tulane and UNLV in. And then if it doesn't work out with Cal and Stanford with that travel schedule in the ACC, then it's a lock. If they come back, it's locked up right there.
Yeah. So, brings us to will Boise State get a tournament invite? An at-large from the NCAA is a no right now. They went from hell no to no with their win against New Mexico. They have a lot of work to do to get to an at-large bid. Their best chance to get into the tournament right now is just leave no questions to ask and just win the Mountain West Conference tournament. You do that, then you don't have to worry come Selection Sunday. Just take care of business, and then you don't have to worry. If they win out the regular season and lose in the Mountain West championship game, maybe. So they're a no to a maybe as an at-large, but they're a definite yes if they win it all. As far as the NIT, that's the NIT and the CBI. That's probably going to be coach's choice. You get an invite, but a lot of times if teams don't get in on the dance, they're dejected. They're not going to want to try and do some, especially if you're a high-profile team. They're not going to want to try and play in the lower tier tournament and possibly embarrass themselves or hurt themselves, especially if you have a bunch of seniors on the team that are probably going to want to try and get ready for professional basketball, whether it be the NBA or overseas. So I think, wasn't it before they went on their run, didn't they turn a CBI invite down? Was it 5-6 years ago? I can't remember now. I think there's one year where they turned a postseason tournament invite down for whatever reason. It might have been the COVID year, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it.
Paul in our TikTok chat says, so much promise at the start of the season, just not consistent. You're exactly right there, Paul. We've been talking about this, for, I don't know, like all the Bronco Nation lives that we've been doing. That's been a topic about, we just don't know what team we're going to get from night to night. And when you're going through 14 different starting lineups and stuff like that, and players that have clearly earned a starting role are not getting that. There's been just a lot of promise, a lot of hopefulness at the beginning, and we just haven't had a big at all, really. We haven't had a 5, and Tyson's been trying to supplement that, with his play, but he can't be all over the place. I'll take a stab at do we think that they have a run in them do we think they're going to finish strong? That's the thing, Paul, is, they looked really good against New Mexico. And frankly, that was a little bit surprising to me. There are people out there saying that if the Broncos can go 6-0 the rest of the way, that would be a 7-game win streak. They have a shot at a automatic bid, but you still have San Diego State right there, who's beat us twice. So that's kind of, it depends on what they do, and then also, maybe Utah State craps the bed. I don't know, but if we can, put it, win the rest of the way, we have a shot. But like Sam said, if we lose one along the way, then we're pretty much, you just got to win the Mountain West tournament and get in that way.
Yeah, our only chance at an at-large is going to be win out the regular season and make it to the championship game. I think there's just too much talent everywhere else in the NCAA this year. So just to be safe, just win it all. Then you don't have to sit and sweat it out on Selection Sunday.
Yeah, and there's been so many years where where we've been robbed by the selection committee and had to play in Dayton. Like this year, if we made it to Dayton, man, I would be happy, man. I would be full of joy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I think, let's see, the NIT. That's a good question. Say they don't, win the tournament, and then they're sitting there and they get an NIT invite. Say Tyson's within a few points of the all-time scoring. I mean, do you think that Rice is going to turn that down? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, it becomes are we a me team or are we a we team? So is your scoring record more important than the team? If the team decides to say no, we don't want to go. I mean, I see both sides. It just depends. I don't think that there's enough professional talent on the team for them to want to come collectively together and say, we don't want to hurt our chances at the next level, so let's not play in this tournament.
Yeah, I think that they would. I think they'd play in the NIT. I don't know about the CBI, but yeah, if it were me, I would, and especially if I had my, my star player just right there, almost ready to break the record. I would make it about him, because I'm hoping that they can make the NCAA in Tyson's last go around. So
yep.
Hey, if you're looking for more followers, clients, or customers, check out ServingBroncoNation.com and get your business added to the directory. When you purchase a tax-deductible plan, you are investing in Boise State and getting access to millions of views throughout the year on the directory and the Bronco Nation network.
So, Nick, it's your time to shine, buddy. What's them women been up to?
Yeah, let's talk about Bronco women's sports. The women's basketball team was kind of in a funk too, just like the men. They had dropped 5 straight games, but this week they were able to, buckle up, and they played some really good defense against Wyoming, and they didn't leave a doubt, and they looked really good. But with the women right now, they are sitting at, I believe it's 16-12, 5-6-9 conference. With them, for them to make it, they've got to just win the tournament at the end. But we want them to, show up and play for pride the rest of the way in, get a good seed, going into the tournament, which I think that they can. If they can continue to play, just kind of like the men, if they play just like the last game they played, they should be set themselves up good going into the tournament, and then we'll just hope and we'll pray that they can take it and go in there, because they have the equivalent to Tyson over there. They have Abby Muse, who is all-time the all-time rebound leader, the all-time block shot leader, and she just went over 1,000 points as well. So, which is, I think she's like top 5. So she's a active Bronco legend. She's going to be a first ballot Boise State Hall of Famer, and so we'd really like to see the women finish strong and get her into the NCAA tournament. And if they do that, then that helps. As far as like my methodology on head coaching, that would help Gordy out, because he hasn't won a conference championship since 2019. He's on that 5-year window. So hopefully they can do it.
Is he on your hot seat?
Well, he would be, but he got extended, so he got a 4-year extension. So
I guess they can still technically make a 20-win season, but they're going to have to beat UNLV next. Yeah. The number 1 team in the conference.
Yeah, and they're towards the bottom of the barrel in their own conference, and so they have some work to do, and that's what I'm saying. We need them to reverse that 5-game skid, and then make it hopefully a 5-game win streak, and go into the tournament on high, and then take it. So other women's sports we want to look at right now. The gymnastics team actually has a meet. They're in Logan tonight in a conference meet against Utah State. They've already beat them before earlier this season. Right now, the women are ranked 27 in the nation as a whole. And then on the beam and on the bars, they're in the top 20. And then Emily Lopez, I think I saw the graphic, was she's ranked 14th in the nation in bars. They're very good. I still I think they're a lock to win their second consecutive Mountain West Conference championship. Right now they are, I believe they are 11-3-1 overall, and 4-0-1 in conference. And so if they win Utah State in tonight's meet, they'll still be undefeated in conference, and they'll probably be they'll probably be boat racing the rest of the conference in gymnastics. So they
have national championship aspirations.
I think Emily Lopez as an individual certainly does. Depends on how much they continue to climb in those rankings. Like I said, right now they're 27th. So maybe they can get into top 25 and see if they got a shot at their equivalent of the tournament. Utah State, who they're performing against tonight, they're ranked 30th. So, maybe that'll help them climb. Taking on another top 30 team. So, hoping that they do, but I do think that MLO certainly has a shot individually.
Have they faced any top 25 teams this year?
Yeah, they took on Sac State, and when Sac State, they were ranked and also undefeated, and we beat the socks off of them, so that helped too. So they'll have that strength of schedule probably if they have the same kind of committee that invites these teams. That'll help them in the long run, I think. And then let's shift gears over to softball. Our softball team is doing great. They've been doing nothing but road games because here in Boise we have snow and cold temperatures. So that's just the way it goes around here. You start out the season on road trips in nice places. So right now they are in the Lyman Classic in St. George, Utah, where it's nice and warm. They've been playing the likes of Utah Tech, San Diego University, and then they'll be playing University of San Diego, UC San Diego, and also Weber State in that classic. So far they are 2-0. They blew the socks off of Utah Tech yesterday. They won by the 8-run rule. If you're up by more than 8 runs in the 5th inning, then it's the mercy rule. And then today they won 9-1 against University of San Diego. Mackenzie Butt slapped 2 dingers, and the last time I didn't get the full set of data, which kills me because they're on a weird network. They're on the WAC International, and as I was taking down all the stats, I went to the next game, and so I lost all the stats. But Mac had 2 home runs and at least 5 or 6 RBIs. She's a freshman, and she was picked to be preseason freshman of the year by the Mountain West. So she's coming into her own. This is her second game with multiple home runs. And they're looking very good. They're 9-3 right now, and they've got a doubleheader tomorrow against UC San Diego and Weber State, and then they close off the classic on Sunday against University of San Diego. I think they'll probably end up undefeated for this classic and take it.
You think they got a team to make the World Series?
I hope so. I really want to see the depth of the pitching. Going into it, like last year they did play a lot of top 10 teams. They haven't done it this year, so it's hard to say. And they got a lot of freshman talent, especially in the pitching, pitching staff. So I'd have to get more of a look at the depth of their pitching staff. But so far, so good. They have 3 freshmen that are doing pretty well. They've got Shannon Keegren. She's doing very well. They've got Olivia Bauer. She's very, very good. She closed out last weekend's classic in Puerto Vallarta. She locked that down. And then you also have Julian Rose, big. Hopefully she'll be a big starting pitcher. She's kind of struggled a little bit. So if I could see her kind of develop into a power pitcher like we need, like we lost lost Taylor Caudell last year, and also Jenna Bloom. If Julianne can come into her own and be another Jenna Bloom, I think we have a good shot at making regionals if we can win the conference.
Nice. So they have a signature win yet this year?
No, we haven't played any of those top 10 teams yet. Like we have, like last year we started out, they started out like a classic that had like Washington and some of those top 10 teams and Georgia and stuff like that. But yeah, we haven't had any of those yet.
Good deal. So what would you say is their best win so far this year?
The ones that, like the last 3 games, they've really blown out their teams. Even though like the last couple games, so like the first game of the Lyman Classic, Brooklyn Pettis hit 2 home runs, and then today Mackenzie Butt hit 2 home runs, and also there's some other dingers. But the one that they finished off in Puerto Vallarta was like 16-6 or something like that. What really impressed me is their hitting. They didn't even hit any home runs, and they still, they still racked up those runs. And a lot of them was from freshman Chloe Hughes. She batted 500 for that classic, and then Sophia Knight, who was voted Mountain West preseason player of the year. She batted like over 400 too. So
nice.
That last game in Puerto Vallarta is probably, to me, is the signature run because it was a complete game. The only reason they scored like 6 runs, it was like in garbage time, and if it wouldn't have been for that last inning, they had a shutout.
Nice.
So, so that was it. That was a really good game. But you know what really helps our teams, our softball teams, is starting out on the road. Like they'll literally be on the road for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Or at least a month until they actually get a home game here. And then when they come here, then they have to kind of like dance around the weather and stuff. So really they do get some resiliency by overcoming a lot of the adversity that they take on in the first part of the season. And then I've seen in years past where they get into conference play and they're like running on all cylinders, and it's fun to watch them.
Nice. They get to come home and show off once they get everything polished up on the road.
So when they come home, Bronco Nation, make sure that you're hitting up those softball games. I want to see the outfield just full of fans, and last year, it was pretty packed. I want to see it just as packed. It's a fun time. I like it. It's a good time. Well, I think we've come to the end of Bronco Nation Live. Just want everybody to know that it's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to do this. Bronco Nation Live is a Bronco Nation updates and Blue Elevation product, and it's basically exclusive content by Boise State fans for Boise State fans. You're not going to find any other outlet that is run by Boise State fans. Most of the time, they're paid people, and they that's what they're paid to do. They're not actual fans of of the university like we are. So we pride ourselves in that, but we are balanced, and we can be homers, but we can also be realistic, and it's all right to have different opinions, and because we'll survive, right? So thanks for joining me, Sam. Thanks for everything that you do for Bronco Nation Live and Blue Elevation. Without you, we don't have a good product here on the show. So really appreciate everything that you do.
And the more we do, the more refined it becomes. I mean, the first show we had no graphics.
Yeah.
We just sat there and talked to each other, and now look at us. We actually put something together.
we're getting there. So anyway, I want to thank Chris Van Sickle for showing up earlier and sharing his recruiting news. Go ahead, make sure that you're subscribing to his channel on BroncoNationUpdates.com and getting that premium content. You're going to want to watch that video with Jackson Presley, the next big Boise State recruit. Solid. He's an OKC. I've watched the video. It's great, and fine young man. You'll enjoy it. So make sure that you go to BroncoNationUpdates.com/blueprint. Go down the page and find Blue Turf Talk with Chris, and then hit that subscribe button. Subscribe there, and then go back to the BTT page, and then set up your account, and we will grant you access through there. And then, like Chris said, everything, the subscription that you buy is tax deductible, and it revenue shares with Boise State. So it's a win-win. So anyway, on behalf of Sam and myself, really appreciate everybody who's watched. Go ahead and if you're on YouTube, give us a like and share this out. And make sure that you're subscribing, and because everything that is monetized on all these channels, it's revenue shared with Boise State too. So thanks for joining us.
Follow me on Facebook. When I get 500 followers, I'll get a logo.
Yeah, go to Sam Talk Sports, to his Facebook page. Get him 500 followers so we can get that man a logo, and then that'll help you out, so you guys can identify him and not just think he's a taco champion, taco eating champion. But let's get this man an official logo on Sam Talks Sports, and then we'll actually get him on the website too once he gets that logo. So on behalf of Sam and myself, thank you, Bronco Nation, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Fight for the soul, my dear red and blue. Boys will stand and cheer for you. Fight for institution, our alma mater. Bring